Great, members.
Glad to be here.
That feels good to hear, that people are glad to be here. So we have a number of authors that are here, and did I see, and I see Senator Pavley, who's chairing a committee as we speak. Senator Vidak, you're not chairing a committee right now as well? No. Okay, so I'd like to call Senator Pavley up to allow her to get back to her committee to present her bills.
Thank you. I guess thank you to the members behind me who I think
Okay.
will be okay. We'll find out. We'll start with Senate Bill 1111. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And Senator Levine, you and I, the last couple of years, have worked on some of the Parks Forward recommendations and working with state parks, trying to get them sort of back on track and find additional revenues to deal with deferred maintenance and all sorts of issues. And things have settled down there with a new director of state parks, Lisa Magnet, and I'm pleased to see that state parks, I think, are in a better place now than they were a few years ago, and we need to all remember how important state parks are to our state. So let's talk about Senate Bill 1111, my last bill on state parks. Someone else will need to take over this job in the future. But this bill does two things. First, it deletes the limitation on the number of state park units that could enter into an operating agreement. Right now, there's an arbitrary number of 20. We've heard they're up to 15. Getting rid of that cap doesn't make a lot of sense, so that's the first part of this bill. The second part is somewhat more significant, and it's contained in the recent amendments that implement one of the major recommendations of the Parks Forward Commission. For those of you who didn't realize, the governor established Parks Forward Commission to look at how state parks were operating and running and thinking of more creative opportunities and partnerships with nonprofits, private sector, et cetera, without compromising the state parks mission. So one of the top priorities by the Parks Forward Commission, which is a really respected group of people, is to create criteria for a new nonprofit to assist the department. Nonprofits can be more nimble, more creative, perhaps not having to go through so much bureaucracy, but the nonprofit will be independent and created outside of state law. Other entities have had a similar good relationship in creating these nonprofits. It's a 501c3. This bill contains the provisions to govern the relationship between the department and the nonprofit and to authorize the department to enter into a strategic partnership with the new entity. Parks Forward recommended such an entity to provide expertise to the department where the department needs help and to be more entrepreneurial with other partners that work within the department. The director of the department or designee would sit on the board of this new nonprofit. The scope of the work of the new entity is to raise money for the department. Here's their scope: to support marketing and communication, something that everyone agrees should be better, to support increased public visitation, to promote public health, and to recruit more diverse staffing, and to advance protection of natural, cultural, and historic resources. The priorities would be set annually by and between the department and the nonprofit. They would work together as a partnership. The bill requires Department of Parks and Recreation to cooperate with the new entity to make sure that all other state park partners are informed about the new nonprofit's work in the new entity and will not replace the work being done by the other partners. Finally, the partnership agreement would be reviewed and approved both by Finance and the Attorney General. I think this is a step in the right direction. Safeguards are in place. I think it's a creative solution to some challenges state parks have faced, and I ask for your aye vote.
Great. Thank you, Senator. Any questions from members? Ms. Olson?
Not a question, just a comment. I really appreciate you carrying this bill. When we first passed this concept, I want to say it was maybe 2011, this was extremely controversial. Right. We had numerous hearings about it and finally got to a happy place with the cap of 20. And I'm really pleased that the program's been successful. I look forward to, hopefully, all of us facilitating more of these public-private partnerships. And your bill is headed in the right direction. So appreciate you carrying it.
Thank you.
Oh, we can't move the ball. Do we have a quorum?
We're not moving the bill yet, and you're taking the amendments that were recommended?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, great. It's good to clarify. But we'll be happy to have you make the motion when there is quorum. Mr. Mathis, did you have a question?
I will second the motion
once you have one. Once you got some fans, that's good.
We like that. State parks need all the fans they can get.
Yeah. All right, if there aren't any other further questions, do you want to make any closing comments?
Thank you very much for your comments and your staff's work with my staff. Very helpful.
Oh, there may be some support here that wants to testify because it needs that extra push.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Members, Steve Baker with Aaron Reed and Associates, representing the Resources Legacy Fund and the Parks Forward Commission. I think that Senator Pavley did a great job outlining it. We also appreciate the work of you and your committee on not only on this legislation but other recommendations in the past from the Parks Forward Commission, and would appreciate the committee's support. Thank you.
Great. Next.
Good morning. Good morning, Tracy Verardo Torres, representing the California State Parks Foundation. We are strongly in support of the provisions of the bill that have been in SB 1111 since January, the provisions extending the nonprofit operating agreements. We, on behalf of the foundation, have a support in concept on the new language, and we have appreciated the chance to work with the senator and her staff. As I think many of the members of this committee know, the State Parks Department absolutely relies on its partners to deliver services and to actually represent the values of the state park system, and has, frankly, since its founding. The first state park, not Yosemite, but the first official state park, Big Basin, was created by Semper Virens. The first park bond was actually put on the ballot by Save the Redwoods League, both of which are organizations that still exist and are thriving today. The State Parks Foundation and some of our colleague organizations do support the idea of another nonprofit that will help fill the gaps for what is not being met in the state park system right now. So we want to be very clear about that. We just want to work more with the author and some of the supporters, because we do think there is a huge diversity of organizations out there right now doing really great work, and we want to make sure that this new entity or agreement fulfills a supplemental role and really helps exceed expectations in that regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other witnesses in support or opposition? Seeing none. Thank you very much for your close, Senator, and for this bill.
And just to let you know, State Parks Foundation does a great job, and Bill Craven from my policy staff will be working with them along with, as well as the administration, if there's any final tweaks that need to be done in this bill, and of course we'll include your staff as well. Thank you
so much.
Thanks. Okay, the next bill is Senate Bill 1262, and I should start with the amendments taken June 15th, there is no more opposition to this bill. So if that's not reflected in your analysis, looking over here to the right, it should be. This bill is relatively simple.
We have no opposition listed in the analysis.
Yes, good. There shouldn't be. There was some at the beginning. It was amended to address that on probationary basins, et cetera, et cetera. All that opposition is removed. It's just building consistently with past bills in 2002, Costa and Kuehl in 2000, as well as Senator Kuehl had show me the water bills that you had to prove how much that water was available when you built 500 homes or more. When we passed SGMA, the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, we updated some water and land use planning bills to reflect SGMA, but didn't include these. I look at this as a technical oversight that we're trying to complement and complete. 1262 provides that necessary update to harmonize new development approvals with the requirements of SGMA. Ask for your aye vote.
Any questions from the members? Mr. Mathis? All right. We don't need to have a reservation system for motions. I do appreciate the eagerness. Any witness support?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. Bob Reeb with Reeb Government Relations on behalf of Desert Water Agency and the Valley Ag Water Coalition in support. This is an important bill. We have to kind of thread the needle here between the demand for housing in California and the need to protect and recover our groundwater basins. This bill strikes the appropriate balance, and we encourage an aye vote.
Other witnesses in support? Any opposition? Would you like to close? Oh, wait, hold on a second. Any questions?
Oh.
See none.
Ask for your aye vote.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.
A compromise measure, but all is well.
We'll take it. Thank you. Mr. Vidak, would you like to join us?
Absolutely.
Is that out of 5? We'll see you. No, you can't. No.
Not yet.
No, he is the top. Perfect. All right. Do I need to announce that? All right. Please, Senator.
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. In 2014, the legislature passed the Sustainable Groundwater Management Act, which requires locals to manage groundwater basins. Local agencies, or a combination of local agencies, can elect to form a GSA through a JPA or an MOU. SB 37 will create the Kings River East Groundwater Sustainability Agency as a special act district. The GSA will cover an area in Fresno and Tulare counties east of the Kings River, including the cities of Dinuba, Orange Cove, Reedley, as well as the communities of Cutler, East Orosi, London, Orosi, and Sultana. This bill has the support from all of the communities that the GSA will overlay, and I'd like to thank Assembly Members Mathis and Salas for co-authoring this bill. We will be accepting the committee amendment to add in the chaptering out language. I have with me today Bob Reed to answer any questions you may have.
Great. Thank you, Senator. Does anyone have any questions for the Senator or the witness? Seeing none, is there any support?
Hello, my name is Charles Dulac on behalf of Community Water Center and Clean Water Action, and we are in support of this bill. Thank you.
Hi, Sharon Gonzalez on behalf of the cities of Dinuba, Orange Cove, and Reedley in strong support of the bill. Thank you.
Thank you. Any opposition? Seeing none, bring it back to the committee. Mr. Vidak, would you like to close?
I ask for your aye vote.
Thank you very much, sir. And when we have a quorum, we'll get right to it. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Ambula, would you like to present SB 552 for Ms. Wolk?
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. All Californians have a right to safe, clean, affordable, accessible water adequate for human consumption, for cooking and for sanitary purposes. Yet many Californians, especially in disadvantaged rural areas, are still unable to turn on their tap and enjoy this basic human right. Last year, the legislature passed SB 88, which gives the State Water Resource Control Board the ability to mandate consolidation when a public water system fails to provide safe drinking water. SB 552 would provide the State Water Board with an additional tool. It will allow them to address a failing drinking water system that serves our disadvantaged community by placing a party administrator, someone to provide the administrative and managerial services to the failing public water system. When funding is made available, this tool will become an essential pathway towards fulfilling the goal of ensuring that everyone in California has adequate, safe water for basic human needs. SB 552 follows through on commitments made in last year's budget process to clean up SB 88, consolidation mandating authority provisions, including the following. First, it updates the definition of what an affected residence must be within a disadvantaged community. Second, it includes mobile home park as a location where a disadvantaged community may be located. Third, it clarifies that an initial public meeting is not required for a potentially subsumed area that is served only by domestic wells. Fourth, the state then has ordered consolidations. Fees or charges imposed on customers of the subsumed water system shall not exceed the cost of consolidating the water system or extension of service. I want to share a personal story, if I may, just for a second. When the speaker came down during my race, I brought him to a small unincorporated area, an area north of Raisin City, an area that's only named, it's a mobile home park on 40 acres, but it's called Perry Colony. And in this area, I brought the speaker to take a look at a family who I had known and who had gotten care through my hospital. This young family had two of their daughters who had cancer. In their depleted groundwater system, they had naturally occurring uranium. And because the uranium had increased in concentrations because the water quantity had gone down, two of their daughters had gotten cancer. Their neighbor's daughter had also gotten cancer. Access to safe, clean drinking water is not available to everyone within all of our communities. It's happening in my backyard right now, today, and we have the ability to change that. We have the ability to provide an administrator who can help us when our system is broken, when we can actually reach out and make impactful changes. And so I would like to urge, and I vote here today, to help to provide safe drinking water for our communities. Be happy to answer any questions that you have. With me today, I'd like to introduce Rob Eagle and Liz Haven from the State Water Board. I respectfully ask for your own aye vote.
Thank you, sir. Witnesses?
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, members. My name is Robert Eagle. I'm the Legislative Director for the State Water Board, and I have with me Liz Haven. The State Water Board is the sponsor of this bill, and as was so eloquently stated, this bill does provide another tool in addition to the legislation that the legislature provided last year to require consolidation of drinking water systems in order to drinking water systems where the public water system is serving disadvantaged communities and consistently fails to provide safe drinking water. This is another tool that would be used instead of, or in places where consolidation is not feasible. And in this case, it would provide the board the authority to contract with an administrator and direct systems that, again, are serving disadvantaged communities and which consistently fail to provide safe drinking water to obtain managerial services from the third-party administrator. We think this is an important step towards helping to ensure the human right to water and provide safe drinking water for all Californians, and we urge your support.
Any other witnesses in support?
Gabrielle First on behalf of the Sierra Club California in strong support.
Phoebe Seaton, Leadership Council for Justice and Accountability, also on behalf of Community Water Center and Clean Water Action in support.
Any witnesses in opposition?
Good morning, Mr. Chair and members. Wendy Ritter-Bush with the Association of California Water Agencies. We're unfortunately still in opposition to SB 552. I think that no one disagrees that there's issues with drinking water in California, particularly for disadvantaged communities. I think Aqua was one of the first organizations that looked at supporting the transfer of the drinking water program from the Department of Public Health over to the State Water Resources Control Board. So I think we're in year 4 of working out a lot of these problems. I think it comes down to who is going to pay for this. And I think it's an unresolved, but it's a real pivotal question. Who's going to be responsible for the costs of the operation and maintenance for these administrators, and it's going to be quite expensive. So I think there's 2 parts to the bill. That's one part. The first part, of course, is the cleanup to SB 88, which was a budget trailer bill last year that we felt was really jammed through the process, didn't allow enough input, and that's why there's unfortunately cleanup for that today. But that's why Aqua still remains opposed to the bill.
Thank you.
Good morning. Rosie Thompson with Metropolitan Water District of Southern California. I apologize for the late letter that we had provided, but we had previous conversations with the author's office with regards to our concerns to SB 552. One of our fundamental issues that we feel that we can work some type of agreement with State Water Resource Control Board and the author staff is regard to how to properly ensure that any extension of services are done in a manner that for Metropolitan we can ensure that we can provide water services. For some of our supplies, we're limited within our existing contracts and within the Metropolitan Water District Act itself from supplying water services outside of our jurisdiction. So having said that, I think we're in the process of working out some of our issues with the author's office, and we are currently at an oppose unless amended. And again, we feel that we can work to some type of positive agreement.
Thank you. Any other witnesses in opposition? Questions from the committee members? Ms. Olson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. A couple of questions to the opposition's question. Who is going to be responsible for the cost? Is that going to be absorbed within the department's existing budget, or what is the plan for that?
We think that there certainly will be additional costs to be able to fully implement this type of program. We think that in some cases there will be potentially economies of scale from having a number of small systems. They all may have arsenic contamination, for example, and there may be economies of scale simply from having an administrator that can purchase equipment for multiple systems at a cheaper rate than would be paid for each individual system. There's economies of scale in simply having one person, knowledgeable, trained person managing these systems. Additionally, there may be other sources. At times, the water boards take enforcement actions, and those go into a penalty account. That penalty account can be used for drinking water, and it may be possible to use those funds. But in the long run, I think the administration has been in discussions with the legislature about looking into trying to figure out a funding source to help disadvantaged communities and provide safe drinking water. And we'll look to that to be able to fully implement the bill. We think that there are some modest opportunities in the short term and hopefully larger opportunities in the long term.
Do you anticipate being able to implement the program before that funding source is identified? And do you anticipate one of the funding sources may be an increase in ratepayer fees?
We hope to implement it before that funding source is identified. Again, we do think that there will be situations where the economies of scale may make it possible to do that, or there may be penalty funds or that sort of thing. It is possible that there may be increases in ratepayer fees. It would be subject to Prop 218, so it would be a vote of the community. Thank you. If they choose to make that vote to invest in their drinking water, then that would be a possibility. But they are subject to Prop 218.
Okay, and then lastly, I obviously am fully supportive of the goals of the program. We need to get clean, safe drinking water to disadvantaged communities. My concern is I don't have a high level of confidence that the State Water Resources Control Board acts expeditiously in ways that help the San Joaquin Valley. So how does the State Water Resources Control Board plan to get this up and running sooner rather than later, rather than caught up in bureaucracy that harms more people than it helps?
Well, I will say I don't think it's possible in this case to harm more people than it helps. I mean, we can only...
They're just caught in bureaucracy for a decade.
Agreed. I will say that, funding will be a key issue. So to the extent that we have funding available, we have been acting expeditiously. For example, in the Consolidation Authority, we have already required one consolidation. We've sent out a number of additional notification letters. The State Water Board takes this issue very seriously. We are working hard to provide safe drinking water to all Californians and to address what have been really very long-term problems that need to get resolved.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. To the author, maybe extending on to that same level of questioning, really what we're doing here is taking a problem that has been in existence because there are hampering situations at the local government levels. They have to go through, in a lot of cases, a Proposition 218 ballot for people to raise their rates and to make any changes to their system. That's a real challenge. Under this legislation, you're getting selective waivers to all of that. You don't even have to do a public hearing process. You can just come in without public hearing, take over these wells, and run the system. Why don't we make this so the local governments can have this as a tool in their toolbox to be able to come in and use these districts? Having been a county supervisor, like Mr. Rambula spoke, I've seen a number of districts where they struggled. The real issue wasn't with the local government, it was through the bureaucracies that were put in front of us. And in fact, in every case, it was the fact that the people didn't want to pass a 218 vote to actually help themselves. So getting this so that you can just come in and take it over and manage it and actually do these things without going through the normal process that everyone else has had to go through, isn't that really unfair?
I will say for the record that we would certainly expect to have public meetings, that we would use a public process, and we have been in discussions with the different supporters and opponents on that very issue, and I know that Senator Wolk is interested in addressing that issue. I think that the fundamental problem for many of these systems, and let me just say first off that the vast majority of public water systems in the state are delivering safe, affordable drinking water. There are a number where they lack the technical, managerial, and financial capabilities to be able to operate drinking water systems. That they're often very small. They don't have the economies of scale that I was just talking about, we think we provide technical assistance to them. We have tried to help them really in every possible way we can. We think that we need an additional tool to be able to move this along.
Well, I appreciate the goals of this as well as Ms. Olson's comments there. I do believe people need to have clean, safe drinking water available to them, and I believe what we have is a bureaucratic hindrance to the local municipal wells and systems that are out there, and makes it impossible for them to make some of these difficult choices to have clean water when the local folks won't support their own needs. And so that's a real challenge. So if we could take away some of that bureaucratic challenge, maybe we could get to this clean water that everybody wants to have.
What I'm hearing, we're talking in the terms of tools. When you have a problem, you don't just go in and buy in another tool, which is essentially what you're asking to do, doesn't necessarily fix the problem. You can take that money, you're talking about economies of scale and the needs to get these smaller agencies up to where they need to be. I'm not going to debate the fact that Central Valley, we have tons of problems with water from the naturally caused uranium from the granite in the Sierra Nevadas to the arsenic to the nitrate levels to you name it. But creating another tool or an administrator in this case to micromanage the local agencies, don't you just see that as we can take that money and actually help these agencies that way instead of micromanaging them? I don't see how adding, explain to me how adding somebody else at the top is going to help the guy at the bottom when the money needs to go to the bottom, and we could take that money and put it there and actually spend it on improving the systems instead of spending it on managing systems. So can you explain that a little bit better?
I'll try. So one of the catch-22s that small drinking water systems face is that in order to qualify for grants and loans, for example, for infrastructure, for equipment, capital equipment, you have to demonstrate that you have the technical, managerial, and financial capabilities to operate the equipment. Obviously, we don't want to be making loans or paying for systems that ultimately can't be operated because there isn't those key elements to be able to manage the system. And so many systems are caught in a catch-22 because they don't have the technical, managerial, or financial capability to operate the system, and therefore they can't qualify for the financial assistance for the infrastructure. So providing a mechanism to provide.
So you're saying they lack the technical skills at the local level.
And managerial and financial management
So you're
skills.
saying they're too dumb to run their own programs, to understand their local
Mr. Mathis,
level.
let's be a little bit more respectful
that's-
and not put words in the witness's
You're saying they don't understand
mouth.
the technical
Let's just be more respectful of this. If you want to ask him what he means, ask him what he means. Do not put words in his mouth. Okay?
Those are my words.
Yes, those are your words.
Don't you think the local levels know better? They're there. They're seeing these things happen on a day-to-day basis.
So I can speak to that one if I can. If I can use the example of Perry Colony. When we sat down with them, they didn't know where to start. They didn't know where to turn to. They didn't know who to call. They didn't have any idea of where to start within the process. I think too often, I actually agree with a lot of what you have to say, that we need to find a way to make government work for us and not against us. But sometimes we need help to get up and running. And I'm not sure Perry Colony can ever get up and running unless we have that tool of having an administrator. And so I'm just, I think there has to be a middle ground here somewhere where government works for us, and, I'm there.
Well, and that's the thing, is there needs to be that reach out. There needs to be the helping them, but micromanaging them and taking over, to me, to add that administrator there, we should already have these programs running where your agency, sir, is reaching out. But to sit there and say, well, they lack the knowledge, help get them the knowledge. Don't take over their agency. Don't take over the local side, but help them along. That's what needs to happen.
We have a whole unit that reaches out and tries to help, particularly help communities qualify, develop the application materials for financing. We talk about communities, but public water systems are very diverse. A lot of mobile home parks are public water systems. And I'm not saying that they're dumb. I'm saying that to know how to operate a wastewater or drinking water treatment plant is very complex. It's scientifically challenging. It is a very complex, and it's not necessarily every mobile home park owners is up to that task.
But again, back to you're saying.
This is your last shot at this one, okay? Please try to make your point.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. How much money is actually going to go towards improving the local systems out of this? You're saying they're going to have to reach out, do bonds, do these things, but what's the formula there? How is this actually going to improve the local efforts from the local side? From the ground up instead of the top down?
Well, what I will say is that, again, the goal that we all agree on is we're trying to deliver safe drinking water. And so from the local side, it will help deliver safe drinking water. And certainly our long-term goal, short-term goal for that matter, is to have the administrator act as a temporary entity and to get the system into a place where it can be operating on its own without an administrator having to be there.
Well, thank you very much for that great answer. I do appreciate it. We'll stop now to achieve quorum.
Levine.
Present.
Gallagher. Bigelow. Dodd. Eggman. Cristina Garcia. Eduardo Garcia. Gomez. Harper. Lopez. Mathis. Nazarian. Olson. Salas. Williams.
Great. We have quorum with 9. Any further comments or questions? Did we already take witness testimony? We did? Great. It's the support and opposition. It's been a long time since we started with that. Would you like to close?
Sure. As an emergency room doctor, I always looked for tools to be able to help my community, to help my patients. And I, frankly, ran out of tools to be able to help my community. I believe in speaking plainly and simply. Our bodies are our temples. You are what you eat. You are what you drink. You are what you breathe. In our community, where we have the worst air quality in the nation, where we have contaminated drinking water, some of the issues I faced as an emergency room doctor were complicated and difficult. I need more tools. This bill will help to provide the tools necessary to start providing safe drinking water for all of our communities, and I urge and support for this bill. Thank you guys for your time. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, sir. At this time, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll move the bill.
I'll second it. Let's call the roll.
Levine.
Aye.
Oh, actually, the motion is due pass to the Committee on Appropriations. Levine, aye. Gallagher. Bigelow. No. Bigelow, no. Dodd. Eggman. Cristina Garcia. Eduardo Garcia. Gomez. Harper. No. Harper, no. Lopez. Mathis.
No.
Mathis, no. Nazarian. Olson.
No.
Olson, no. Salas. Williams.
Aye.
Williams, aye. 2-4.
All right, the vote is 2-4. We'll hold the roll open, and thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Next, we'll call up Senator Cannella. Thank you for waiting.